All right, you joined us some 20 minutes ago or so after the Speaker, the Senate Majority Leader, had that news conference, or at least brought an update on things, and they didn't look too good. Did you learn anything else that gives us a glimmer of hope things will get done today in the last 20 minutes?
Well, we've heard from a few other Republican leaders, including Kevin McCarthy in the House. But so far, Alex, the sense of dire urgency that Americans are feeling across the country for financial relief right now has not seemed to break the logjam here on Capitol Hill. We're hearing from Republicans that they feel that they're very close to a deal. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, saying they still plan to have a vote today in just a couple of hours, basically a procedural vote that would set things in motion to allow them to have a vote tomorrow on an actual piece of legislation. Fingers crossed that they actually have a deal to vote on at that point. But we also heard from Nancy Pelosi, the House Democratic leader, who rushed back in from California to be able to work on these negotiations. And I want you to hear a little bit about what these leaders had to say at the Capitol just a few minutes ago.
We're working toward bringing this together. I think it's safe to say we're very close. We have integrated a number of ideas that Democrats had over the last 48 hours with these working groups that you're familiar with. Now we're at a point in the discussion where people will shortly have to say yes or no.
We'll be introducing our own bill, and hopefully it'll be compatible with what they discuss in the Senate.
So no deal that's bipartisan at this point?
Right.
And Alex, you heard Nancy Pelosi there saying Democrats plan to introduce their own bill. That does not bode particularly well for resolving all of this quickly and making sure they can have a final vote tomorrow. We have been hearing from McConnell, other Republican leaders saying they don't think it's productive at this late stage in the negotiations for Democrats to be putting forth a new separate bill, that only makes it harder to get everybody on the same page and actually get a law passed. But from Nancy Pelosi, we actually overheard her speaking to her staffers as they were leaving a meeting today, saying we are so far apart. Alex?
Josh, what you just said there about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying that he doesn't think it's helpful for Democrats to put forward their own bill at this point. Does that smack of the blame game? Are you getting a sense of the blame game here during this particularly heightened, intense time?
Absolutely. There's definitely politics being played here right now, as there always are. Republicans have a point that there's an urgency now that they need to do everything they can to get something out the door as quickly as possible. But Democrats have some very serious concerns about the legislation as it stands right now, most particularly about the restrictions or lack of sufficient restrictions on how companies are going to use this money to make sure that they really put it to use in the way that's going to most benefit Americans who are struggling, as opposed to shoring up the bottom lines of these major corporations.
Okay, so that is very important. So Democrats, basically, they're trying to word-wise put in insurance that the money allotted to the businesses is properly used, or at least for the intent that this bill would provide, right? That it would be used for singular Americans, for employees and the like. That's what your sense is of this?
That's exactly right. Democrats don't want this money to be used for companies to give big balloon payments, major golden parachutes to their executives. They don't want it to be used by companies that are then going to lay off workers. And they don't want it to be used by companies to buy back their own stock to improve their numbers on paper, as opposed to making sure that they use that money to make sure they can continue to pay workers and get it out to real people.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.